Hey everybody, welcome to an interview that we're going to have with Quentin Budworth. So it's Noel from Gurdy World and Max from Gurdy World and Quentin right there. Have a wave. There you go.
Yeah, so Quentin, we're happy to have you here. We want to start off by just talking about you as a player and your music, and then we'll transition to talking about your new project, and then we'll talk about what you have going on in the future.
Okay, sounds great.
Perfect. So, first question, the most obvious question for any interview of a hurdy-gurdy player. What got you into the hurdy-gurdy originally?
Wow, that's a good question. Um, I spent I spent a lot of time playing Irish music as an accompanist to a dulcimer player, and I was playing sitar and baran and stuff like that. And I was looking for an instrument that would give me a unique voice, really. But I was thinking maybe Uilleann pipes would be the way to go. But actually, what happened was quite magical. I quite by chance, really, I went to a gig by Blows a Bella,
Oh,
and
nice. Yeah.
I went to the pub before the gig, and as a result of that, arrived halfway through to see the interval spot, and the interval spot was Nigel Eaton and Paul James absolutely tearing shreds out of Gurdy and pipes for about half an hour. And I was just hooked, absolutely spellbound, bound by these two musicians and the interplay between the two instruments and just the rhythmic elements and the seamless flow of the tunes. And I just thought, I'm going to do that.
Had you seen a hurdy-gurdy before, or was it the first time that you saw one?
I think it was the first time I'd seen one.
Yeah.
And I've been gigging a lot and touring around and busking and all sorts of stuff, doing like working a lot as a musician. But I hadn't seen a hurdy-gurdy before, and when I did see it, it was just like, wow.
So did you go up and ask Nigel about it and then like find out where to get one, or how did that come about?
No, no, I was way too shy and probably too drunk, to be honest. So no, I kind of how did I get one? I did some rooting about.
Yep.
Um, well, strangely, just after the seeing Nigel and Paul do that thing, I got offered a gig in Japan. So I was there for 6 months playing at Orandamura, which is a Dutch theme park in Nagasaki. It sounds weird, but it's like this like mini Dutch place.
Wow.
And it was a great gig for many reasons. One of which being that it was 6 days a week, and it made enabled me to make some proper money.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because like making money in England as a musician is not an easy gig.
Yeah.
So anyway, I came back with deep pockets and stuff in them.
Yeah.
And one of the first things I did was buy a hurdy-gurdy. I got a second-hand one,
Oh,
Who made your
which
first
was
hurdy-gurdy?
Bude.
Oh, okay.
oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was really, really lucky, and it had been played in.
Okay.
It's the one here. I've been playing the
Oh,
same
wow. Still
instrument for
playing it.
30 years. It's had a bit of a life.
Yeah.
I'll show you. Um, I
How
got
long ago was this? Did you get it?
1988.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh
So you
yeah,
can
it's worn in
see
the back there.
one in the back. It's had a new set of teeth in, so it hasn't got like the trad flags or anything like
Oh,
that.
yeah. Yeah.
It's got new teeth in, new bearings, new axle. Wheel's still the original wheel, and most of it's still original, but it's had repairs all over.
Do you remember how much you paid for that when you got it?
£1,100,
Wow.
and I could have bought quite a nice second-hand car for that
I was going to say
sort of
that's
money.
pretty expensive for back in 1988.
Wow.
That's
Yeah, but it was. It didn't look like that when I got it.
yeah, I bet. Yeah.
It looked pretty
Yeah.
good.
That just means it's been loved.
Yeah, it's
And
been
where
it's
in
been
England were
lovely.
you living at the time?
I was living in Huddersfield in
Oh
West
yeah.
Yorkshire.
Yep, I know it well. I used to live in Bradshaw, Halifax.
Ah, great. I got it from a lady called Angela Beaumont. You might have met her. She was out that way. She thinks Shipley or something like that.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah, she got it, and she's very sort of traditional musician, and she was going, "Oh yeah, I'm going to have to teach you how to play this because can't just play it." And so I went for a couple of lessons, and then I decided that I was going to teach myself.
So then you took some lessons, and then did you just decide that that was going to be your arc, or was it just one of many other instruments because you were a gigging musician, or did you have another job at the time to kind of
Um,
help you out?
well, I was running. I was doing the bands. I had like a medieval reenactment company called the Grinnygogs, and we were doing historical performances all over
The
the
Grinnagogs?
UK. Yeah, and that was quite funny, tights and
Yeah, yeah.
silly hats, and lots of really nice gigs and playing for weddings and stuff like that. And then I had an acoustic duo, which was for folk clubs, really, in Germany called Hammer House, and that was with the dulcimer and Sitten and Gurdy. And then my partner at the time, Amanda Lowe, who was the dulcimer player, got to wanting to have more children, and so she couldn't tour so much. Sorry, this is a really roundabout story.
No,
There's a
no,
lot.
this is all good.
Anyway, as a result of that, I started to work with a percussionist called Tim Rayborn,
Okay.
who's a Californian.
Oh, wow.
Was doing yeah, he was doing his PhD in medieval studies, Sephardic medieval studies at Leeds,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, they have a great music program at University of Leeds, and they have a great art program too. I don't know why my computer keeps deciding to give the thumbs up, but
Because you're putting your hand up there.
I don't know. But definitely you're getting some
right,
thumbs
okay.
up vibes there, Quentin. But anyway, so he was doing his PhD at Leeds U, and so that's how you met?
Yeah, well, actually, what happened was I was doing a gig, and he came along and just said, "I need to play with you," and that was it. He came
That's
and did a
great.
couple. He came and did a couple of gigs, doing Arabic percussion, and he played psaltery and oud.
Oh my God. Wow.
So it was just awesome because it's in the absolutely the sweet spot for me, which was like this sort of southern Mediterranean, Arabo-Andalusian stuff.
Right.
I, I was kind of spent a lot of time in Gibraltar because my mum's Gibraltarian, and that was the music that I used to go to sleep to on the radio, just like Radio Morocco and late night Spanish stuff.
Wow.
And so I had a real interest in these kind of interesting modes.
Were your parents musicians, or like how did you come to music from it? And do you have did you study music, or is this all just, side stuff? Do you know what I mean?
Wow, okay. No, they didn't. First answer.
Yeah.
So I think my mum's uncle was quite a well-established pianist. So no, I didn't really. I just was a really obsessive teenager and just used to listen to loads and loads of music, and then got really into world music. And as through playing Irish jigs and tunes, I always really loved tunes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of was my way in,
Got it.
really,
Yeah.
through sessions and wild drunken nights as a student, and generally misbehaving in public. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into it, really.
Cool.
So do you still play any other instruments, or do you only focus on hurdy-gurdy now?
Most of my playing is on the hurdy-gurdy, though I do play octave mandola, guitar, pipes, a variety, but not to the same level. Because, when you get really focused on one instrument, you just don't have the time.
Yeah. And
You know,
was that so when you started playing with the guy from California, was
Tim, yeah.
that when you decided this is what I want to do? And then did you then decide, well, I need to go study, or how did you get to the point where you're at now? Because clearly it's not like there's many schools available for Gurdy
No,
yet.
no. When I started working with Tim, I realised very quickly that we were onto something. The combination of the Gurdy and the percussion was really exciting for audiences,
Yeah.
whether they be on the street or in in a concert setting or whatever. And so very quickly we put together a set, and that set became the music that was the first album, The Lost Music of Celtarabia.
Cool.
So that's kind of where that came from, and a lot of the music was like me listening to world music recordings. Amanda had got a deal with Harmonia Mundi, the
Oh, yeah.
record label, the world
Yep. Yeah, yeah,
classic,
absolutely.
classical
Yep.
thing, for the distribution of her Dulcimer album. And as a result, we got all the Harmonia Mundi catalogue. Basically, we could just say, "Oh, can we have a copy of that? Can we have a copy of this?" And that was great. So my ears were really being massaged by all this weird
Yeah.
music that
Yeah.
we just go, "Oh yeah, fancy having a listen to that." And starting to listen to different traditions and things like that, and starting to really pull them apart. It was before really YouTube. So you couldn't watch tutorials or see, say, I know, a Swedish player playing it. So it all had this air of mystique, which you had to kind of unpick in real time whilst listening to the music and try and work out what was going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really tricky, actually. So looking back at it took a certain amount of obsession to do it. And I do feel sorry for Tim and Amanda, who used to sit in the car with me late at night driving back from gigs while I was trying to work out how Patrick Buffard was doing a particular ornament.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so that's how I did it, really. A couple of workshops, but there weren't really that many
No.
in the UK at that time. You might get an odd workshop attached to a Blowsabella gig or a weekend's worth. In Norwich, I think, was a hotbed for workshops. Later on, of course, there was the stuff that happened in Derbyshire with the hurdy-gurdy weekends and things like that. But not so many opportunities really to learn.
Yeah.
Okay. Quentin, what did you like about the hurdy-gurdy specifically? What drew you? Was it like the trompette? Was it the drones? Was it just the tone of it? Was it the like having a keyboard and a crank? What brought you to the hurdy-gurdy specifically over any other instrument that you played?
I think it's the fact it's a whole sound system, and it was quite an open field. You could
Yeah.
create
That's
whole
true. Yeah.
sound worlds and places, imagined or evoke them through it, and you can kind of make magic with it because you can. It's a whole world of its own.
Yeah. True.
Very
Still
cool.
is.
Yeah, it was that.
You mentioned how like you started off playing Irish music and you got into like Mediterranean music and all the what kind of music do you play nowadays? What's your typical repertoire like?
Oh, good question. I'm playing quite a lot of Scottish music. Playing with Scottish players. That's really interesting. Some Gaelic stuff. I like to write a lot of new material and new melodies. So there's a lot of that with Agent Starling. Just kind of playing around with different modes and grooves and writing part tunes and tunes for that project to be poppyfied by Lou Duffy Howard, who plays bass and lots of other instruments on that project, and has a real pop sensibility. She's like plays with the Red Guitars, an indie band from the 80s that were pretty successful.
Yeah.
So that sort of stuff, and then just wild music for dancing with Celtarabia. But that's just family really now. We've been playing for like 30 years or more. So
Wow.
when we get together, it's a party.
Yeah.
First and foremost, it's like we got together. Wow, that's a miracle in itself because we live all over the place. So that's a cause for celebration. Then when we get on stage, it's just wild because we've done 30 years and we just know each other and how we play and what's exciting.
Very
Now,
cool.
in between the time that you were down in the Huddersfield area and then started really getting serious about the hurdy-gurdy, did you travel to different countries and then come back and settle where you are now, which I believe is on the Isle of Skye? And
Uh,
like, tell me a little bit about like how that whole thing happened.
Oh wow, this is really yeah. So I was in Huddersfield for quite a long time, and then I moved across to Bridlington and Beverley,
Yep.
where I lived for about 20 years. Had kids, brought them up, and then during that time I was gigging, and then I was working as an artist in schools. I was doing anything really to support 4 kids. You can imagine how much money that
Yeah.
requires. So you could do so much as a musician, but sometimes you have to bite the bullet and you know
Yeah.
take the coin.
I hear
So
you. I have
I took
one
the
kid,
coin.
and that's rough enough.
So, so I took the coin really as an artist and worked in loads of schools as part of a teacher training school development thing called Creative Partnerships. And I was a practicing artist, then a lead artist, and all this stuff for about 11 years. I did that, and then I came
Around the
out.
Bridlington area, or
Yeah, it was.
yeah.
Yeah, it was all in Hull, which is
Okay, yeah.
a very deprived city on the east coast. It's a
Yep.
fishing city.
Beautiful area though. I love hiking around there. Really nice on the coast. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So I did that, which was okay, and I enjoyed it and kind of really got into it, and that was good. But as I was doing that, obviously my attention was kind of drifting away from music,
Yeah.
just because of working full time, having 4 kids. There's
Practicality.
only you can only do so much, yeah. And my kids were they were buggers actually. They hated the Gurdy. They felt that it was kind of
Understandable.
an intrusion on my time with them.
My kid loves it, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's great. But they felt like if I was doing that, then I wasn't with them. Anyway, it's a long story.
Yeah.
Anyway, it made it quite tricky. But anyway, I recorded a couple of albums during that time, nevertheless, like a dub reggae album and bits and pieces. And when I came out of that, I decided, right, I really need to kind of sort myself out and decide what I'm going to do because I'm getting on.
Yeah.
And then I just re-engaged with music. And after a couple of years of working as a freelance musician and doing, I did a Cayley band that got really popular actually locally. So that was really keeping me playing every week pretty much, maybe 1 or 2 gigs a week
Nice.
all over East Yorkshire. And then I put in for a grant and to the Arts Council, and it's called Developing Your Creative Practice. And I put in to study the hurdy-gurdy with players all over Europe.
Wow. And you
So
got
the
it.
grant, yeah, and I got it.
That's amazing.
Believe it. I
Wow.
was just like, yay!
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then I had the thing. I think it was in 2018 or 2019, and so I had to put together a tour all around Europe to meet up with people and start playing, and that's kind of how I relearned the instrument.
Nice.
Very cool.
So,
Awesome
how did you
background.
decide on who you were going to go study with?
That's a really good question. I'd like to say that I was really disciplined and I had a really good agenda for this. But actually, what I did was I looked at who was doing workshops, and then go, oh, I'll go there, I'll go there, I'll
Yeah.
go there. So really, it was who was around delivering workshops in that year. Pretty much everyone who did a workshop, I went and studied with.
So, I'm assuming those people that you started the connection with, then you kept that connection, you know, moving forward so that you could always meet up with them again or talk with them again. Because most of the players that you interviewed for your book, I'm assuming you're probably met during that time.
Yeah, yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, the players in the book, the people that I met on that in that year, and there's some other players who I also met, but for one reason or another couldn't be in the book, didn't want to be in the book because maybe they didn't have the time or they didn't feel like they wanted to share that knowledge in that way. They'd rather deliver workshops and stuff like
Right.
that, you know,
Yeah, fair.
which is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, but what I ended up with was a really nice broad spread of players who were experienced enough to have something worth listening to.
Nice.
Um,
And then how
and
did you end up back in England?
well, after having a year on me jollies and learning, I came back to Bridlington, and then COVID hit.
Oh,
And we kind of locked down, and it was just like going from oh, and we had Brexit. Sorry, the British
yeah,
people
yeah,
decided to excommunicate themselves from their nearest neighbours.
yeah,
Why?
yeah, yeah.
So,
Is
so
that
yeah,
why you went up to Scotland then?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's England is so dominated by the right wing media and neoliberalism as a absolute fundamental belief of both political parties now.
Mm.
It just became onerous to be there in a country where the far right is kind of in the news all the time, and yeah,
Yeah,
I,
we don't know anything about that in America.
Can't relate.
well, yeah,
Kind of
but we had
shocking.
Boris. It's shocking, yeah,
Yeah,
and so coming to Scotland was really a kind
yeah.
of an escape from that.
Yeah, I have my a good friend of mine. She moved. She's got two young girls that are close to my son's age. We've been friends for many, many years. And she moved her family up to Scotland right around the same time as you did, and for the same reasons, but also because school systems, universities in Scotland, for her kids. So definitely something understandable. And you enjoy it there, correct?
Yes, yeah, I love being up here. I find where I live is very beautiful. I'm in the mountains, and the community is really strong. So it's a lovely place to be. And yeah, I live maybe 50 miles from the nearest town, so it's really quite isolated, and the
I was
world
going to
doesn't
ask you if
impinge.
you go down to your local with the Gurdy.
Well, that would be a long walk home, I tell you.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I've got some friends who live in Balmacara, just on the other side off the island, on the other side of the bridge, and I go over there maybe once a month, and we play
Nice.
for 3 or 4 hours, and working on new material and stuff like that. So that's quite nice.
So so is that why you got the idea about the book that you've just published? Is that you were up in Scotland and you were maybe reminiscing about the players that you used to hang out with, or was that after the COVID isolation, or how did all that come about?
Oh wow! Well, during COVID, I was very. I lived on my own actually during COVID, so I was really quite isolated.
Mm.
But I was quite close to a beach, and I used to walk up and down it. And then it just occurred to me that all these people that I knew, and there was all this stuff happening online, and everyone had loads of time. And I thought, actually, I could do a book. And I came up with this idea of doing like a set of questions. Like I'm trying to think where I got it from. I think it was from the Smithsonian or something like that. But they're ethnomusicological questions, and I
Mhm.
just tweaked them for the Gurdy. So, like, there's the core questions that every ethnomusicologist would ask, and then there's the specific stuff for the Gurdy. And I ended up with about 23 questions, I think there were, for this thing. And I just asked people that I knew,
Mm.
or some people that I was really admired,
Mhm.
would you mind doing this? Have a look at the questions. I'm writing a book. The idea is that we share all this knowledge that we have collectively,
Yeah.
and people can learn from it. And obviously, it showcases the player as well,
Yeah.
and their musical philosophy and their approach to playing.
Mhm.
And to my surprise, I think 31 people got back to me and said, "Yeah, sure."
Cool.
And then I had the bit of kind of unpicking and translating and then working out exactly what they were saying.
Hmm.
Because that's, it's a really tricky editing job. If I'd known it was going to be so tricky, I maybe would have thought twice about doing it.
Yeah. Or thought about different questions, I'm sure.
Yeah.
About how long did it take you to compile everything?
Um, I was still sort of doing a little bit of the initial research splurge and getting the photos the year after the lockdowns finished in the UK.
Was that 2021?
Yeah, I started in 2019, so it's 2019 to 2021. I was doing that. That was my weird hand gesture that made the thumb come
Yeah,
up.
I know. I was like,
It's very
you're
odd.
like,
This
you're
AI.
channeling my like positive thumbs up energy into my thing.
So
It's
yeah,
like,
and then I had to, once the lockdown had lifted properly and people could do entertaining again, I had to get back into that. So it went on the shelf, and then at various points, I've had like a week to do some editing, and I've done that just over the time, and then I just did a final push after Christmas. I just thought, oh, I've got to get this
gotta get
done.
it done.
It's enough now.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and
'Cause
so that
when we
was
all came out of COVID, it was like everybody was like free for all, So
Everyone
it's
was
like,
looking for a new project to do once they
yeah,
had free time back.
yeah. That's
yeah, and
great.
also, I mean, like it's meeting people again and being social and
Absolutely.
picking up the threads, really.
Yeah. And you're pleased with how it came out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think given given the length of time, the limited resources I had, and the um, all the things of having a life as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pleased with how it came out. I mean, it was done. It's been done on a real like a real shoestring. And not, I haven't cut corners with it, but I've put a lot of sweat equity into it.
Yeah.
Quentin, is there anything that surprised you that came out of the book? Like any answers or any insight that like caught you off guard while editing it?
Yeah, the commonality of how people actually get into playing. Seems to be a very definite common set of things that happen to people to get them playing. Like this interest in medieval stuff and reenactment is one very strong line, and you can see it in maybe 2/3 of the players that they start with this really fascination for that, and then they maybe start on pipes or something like or recorders, and then very quickly they're into the Gurdy. So that's one thing. And then there's a whole load of stuff around trumpet
Yeah.
and how people view trumpet
Yeah.
and the different takes on that are kind of more points of. There are lots of similarities, but then there are lots of as you get the players who played longer. There's lots more subtlety in
Right.
how it's thought about and what it can do.
How do you think about it?
I think of it as like violin bowing. I think it can be rhythmic, expressive. Um, it can tickle a tune. It can stamp its foot. It's got the whole thing. And I think if you tie yourself to just playing the same patterns,
Yeah.
you're really missing a trick. I tell you who's really good on trumpet, Herman Diaz.
Oh my God, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Amazing.
he's just so cool with it, and he just his expression, and like he does this thing. I'm sure he won't mind me saying, where he teaches people how to do a coup de 12, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Just by
We've seen the
shaking some
videos.
spoons. You've seen it, yeah?
Yeah.
You've seen it. So it's so cool because all of a sudden something that's seen as incredibly technically difficult is actually as simple as just shaking a couple of spoons or playing the bones. And yeah, so he's really good, and he has like in his playing, his melodic playing, he has this lyricism, and it's the fact that his trumpets are so dry, and they're supported, I think, they're within the instrument, so they're very quiet
Yeah.
and not notey. They don't have a tone. They're just kind of a percussive sound, which is really lovely. Allows this like lyricism in the playing because the trumpets are so much lower.
Yeah, and I think that it's important that one of the things that he does that I think some of the other better players do is that instead of the trumpet being a constant dynamic, the dynamic is altered for the tune itself. So it can be a loud accent or a soft accent or more legato or more staccato. And that just means it's yet another level to what you're doing. So it's like, when you're playing several manuals, you can edit things the way that you want. And I think that that's what makes those trumpets so much more virtuistic than, people just slamming out a session tune.
No, that's absolutely what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he even does when he was teaching me, he was doing this stuff about the tightness on the handle controls the level of volume on the trumpet, and it's a whole world
Yeah.
that he has, and it's a delight really to
Yeah,
hear.
Matthias Leubner is the same way. It's just it's a joy watching him play, I think. But
Yeah, Matthias, it really, I mean, both Herman and Matthias are in the book, and his thoughts on musicianship and how to play and what to play and ways of being in the world, just an absolute delight. Really inspiring. Yeah.
Very
Yeah, big
cool.
fan of Matthias Leubner. If I think if anyone wants to sort of listen to, say, Eye of Sea, and then have a look at the score, which is on his site, he's very generous with his scores, and then just have a go and see just what he's playing.
oh yeah, yeah,
It's just incredible.
exactly. Cool.
So Quentin, what's the when you're writing this book and editing it and putting it out together and releasing it, who have you considered the target audience for the book? Like, what type of person do you feel needs this book in their life?
Well, I would say it's for players. It's for people who play the hurdy-gurdy. Anyone who plays it, whatever level, will find something in that book that will take them up a step. Or
Max, can
certainly,
you hold the book up? Because
Yeah.
oh, sorry, I'm really crap at all.
everybody can hold the book up.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
That's it. It's quite a substantial tome.
Yeah.
As Max said, he's dipped into it, but not read all of it. But that's very good, Max.
Yeah.
Much better than me.
I've been practicing all day on that maneuver.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
It's
brilliant.
good for whacking flies too. It really kills them first
Yeah,
first shot.
I've got some. You've got a really annoying bagpipe player. It's just about the right.
Yeah.
Or some kid who wants to put their sticky finger on your wheel.
Oh yeah.
Take that, you swan.
Do you feel like the book is would be useful at all for musicians that don't play the hurdy-gurdy?
Yeah, I do. I think anybody who's interested in drone music will find something there.
Yeah. And
Because,
drone
I mean,
theory, which is really important.
Yeah, drone theory.
Yeah.
And there's a lot. It's called a squirreled away, but in one of the questions is about the drone, and it gets to that thing of modal music and the drone and that sound world, and a lot of people have quite interesting things to say
Exactly.
about that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of knowledge about that doesn't get communicated well to beginner players. That's for sure. That needs to.
How do you think people should read this book? Do you think they should read it cover to cover? Do you think they should skip around? And how do you think that they should use this book information to apply to their own playing?
I think really it's down to the person. So people that like to be completist about things to go through it, but people should really dip in and then come back and then dip in again. So say you're listening to a recording by, I don't know, Matthias Leubner or Patrick Buffard, you can just go to the chapter on the musician, have a read, and all of a sudden you've unpeeled a whole load of onion skins and got to the kernel of the music.
I think that's a good point too, because I think often, especially now with YouTube and the availability of so much media, we can go and we can watch players, we can see their performances, we can see everything that's happening, but it's a different thing seeing the player and actually understanding what's going through the player's mind. As a performer myself, it's definitely like what I'm doing when I'm doing stuff is very different in my head than what is happening, when we're doing things. So it's nice to be able to hear from players about what they're really thinking about, like even trying to make it more of like a human approach, like, yeah, there's stage fright. Yeah, there's this. Yeah, there's things that go wrong. Yeah, there's things that I feel are really important, but how do I communicate them in a way that people can understand and feel like I can attach to them? So I think it's important to be able to read what people have to say about their own impressions on playing instead of just watching all the time and then assuming that you know. And I think that that's one of the reasons why this book itself is interesting, because you're not just assuming what these players are doing, you're actually getting to read what their opinions are. And I think that that's an important thing that's been missing for a long time, not just in the Gurdy community, but even in the world of keyboard instruments, we have this problem where we like assume that Marta Agovich thinks a certain way, but she doesn't. So it's nice to have that information now.
Yeah, I mean, like there's sections in this book as well that are really useful to people that want to do stuff. So each player talks about how they prepare for a performance. And quite often that's not just about how they're preparing the fingers and the mind for it, but they're talking about how they're going to set the scene, how they think what the story is of the tune, how they're going to present the tune, what their body language is going to be, the whole spectrum of a performance. And you're getting these insights from some really, really top players.
Yeah.
And I think that's tremendously valuable. You don't really get that sort of thing until you go to like a conservatoire or
Yeah.
you do your degree in modern folk tradition, or it's kind of hidden knowledge, which is why it's called the secret world
Yeah.
of hurdy-gurdy.
So Quentin, where anybody that's watching this that becomes interested in your book, where can they go to get this book?
They can get it directly from the website, Quentin Budworth musician.com or music.com.
That link in the
Yeah,
description.
we'll
Yeah.
put the link, and they can order it direct from me. And then from the 1st of May, they can get it from most good bookshops and some crap ones too.
But preferably directly from you.
Do you know what? If they buy it directly from me from the website, I get to keep most of the money, and they don't give any money to billionaires. So And
Now we need the thumbs up
Yeah.
thing.
yeah, because those guys have got way too much money.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
I clearly, as a musician, have not got enough. And
Wow, see, baby.
yeah. So
Cool.
yeah, that's how you get hold of it. And it's actually really interesting because of the way I've set it up. There's no import duties or anything like that. So it's printed in the EU or America or Canada, and there's no duty to be paid, which is a relief, I think, because they can be quite high, can't they?
Tariff-free book.
Tariff free. No, where have I heard the word tariff before?
So Quentin, now that the book is nearly out in a couple days from this recording, what is the next project for you? What's the future hold for you? Anything in particular you want to talk about?
I'm working on a band project called the Skirlin, with some Scottish musicians that play small pipes and double bass. So keep an eye out for that. There's a new Agent Starling album in process. I think it'll be track 4, so it'd be nice to get my head back into that. And watch this space. I want to write some more. I've got a couple more ideas for books, and so yeah, there may be another Gurdy book. There may be a volume 2. I don't know if I can take it on yet. But
Maybe another 7 years of editing.
I really, I'm going to learn from my previous mistakes, and make it much easier edit.
Perfect.
Use ChatGPT, it'll go a lot faster.
Yeah, that will help.
Yeah, ask ChatGPT, what would Nigel Eaton say about the hurdy-gurdy?
Yeah.
Oh Christ!
He'd say, go over to Bandcamp and buy
my Fezzy Brigade.
That's exactly what he would say.
Yeah, it's really funny. The ones that got away. That could be the book.
The ones that got away. That's good.
The asked and said, yes, I'll do it. And then when it came to it, the ones that got away.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Final thoughts, but can you hold up your Boudet again? Does that have outputs in it? Or did you get... Yeah, what's up with that?
Okay, so there's a Ashworth piano tuner inside the instrument, which gives you full range, so you can have the drone and the melodies on that, right?
Yeah.
Then there's another pickup directly under the bridge that's a piezo.
Yeah.
The trumpet. For the trumpet.
Mm-hmm.
Who did
And
you do
then-
that, or who did that?
Neil Brook put all these in for me.
Oh, nice.
He helped me murder and kept the instrument alive at the same time. And then this one is what he calls a Cyclops pickup, and that's like an electric guitar pickup just for one of the chanter strings,
Wow.
just to bolster the sound.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Cool.
So
Yeah, I thought I saw some stuff that was going on there. That's pretty cool. Nice job.
yeah, so it's
Another thumbs up, apparently.
yeah. Every time it's like, ooh, no thumbs up.
It's all the way from Scotland to New Hampshire. We're getting the thumbs up vibes.
Yeah, God knows how it's doing it. It's that devilry of the technology.
It is.
And then I've got this other one that actually some people in America will have seen this because Neil brought it over as his demo model,
Yeah.
and it's got 2 Cyclops pickups on it,
Oh, yeah, I see.
a general pickup, but then it's also got built into it
Oh my
What
God.
a couple of
Al-
Pandora multi-effects units.
Oh, wow.
do you like that, or like?
I don't know. It's a bit of a faff, but the sound can be really good.
Yeah.
I actually my instrument of choice is the DG Bourbonnais sound because it's like a Strat. You know, when you're playing in a band, it just sits above everything else and cuts through. It's really, it's a great lead instrument. Whereas this is a bit more, being a G, it's a little bit lower. And
Okay, very cool. Noelle, do you have any more questions for Quentin?
No, this was really fun though.
Yeah.
I'm assuming when we get over to Scotland, we can hang out.
yeah, come over.
What's that?
Come over to the Misty Isle.
All right, cool.
What you have to do,
my friend while I'm up
what you
there,
have to do, head for Lake Slapping, turn right at Lake Slapping past Blaven, keep going, and then
Wait,
with
is
the White
it
House.
seriously called Lake Slapping?
Yeah, seriously, without a G, Lake Slapping.
Now we have to go to Lake Slapping.
Slapping something.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wait, where? So I turn where now? Which way? Turn right.
Turn right at the bottom of Lake Slapping,
Turn right.
past
All right.
Blaven,
Right.
big mountain,
Perfect.
and then we're along there.
All right. Good. I'll bring my semaphore flags so that way you'll see me signaling.
Brilliant. In the absence of any mobile phone signals.
Yeah. We have that problem around here. Absolutely.
Yeah, we do. We always talk about how the moose and bear are walking around carrying our signal for us. They have like
They're big, aren't they? Moose are huge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very big.
Bear are
Yeah,
tiny in comparison. Well, black bear
Yeah,
anyway. We don't have the big bears here.
they're big enough.
Big enough. Yeah.
they're big
They're
enough.
bigger than me.
Bigger than, yeah.
And how's it going with Gurdy World? Sorry, we seem to have sort of segged out of doing the thing, but how's it going with the site and all that?
Really good. Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
I think the really positive things about the site has been that we've had a lot of feedback from people that are either beginner players or have been players for a long time, that are like, thank God, at least all the information is in one place now, you know? So it's great to have one resource where people can go and find everything from like how to tune the damn thing to like advanced playing and how to get in touch with teachers and workshops and the blogs and
Bakers,
just
luthiers.
yeah, luthiers, which
Yeah.
is a real thing. And one
Oh,
of the
great
other
stuff.
things that we're thinking about seriously now is a part. The census map was great because now people can find each other throughout the world, which is wonderful. But one of the things that we're very much seriously thinking about now, especially because like your point to billionaires and different things like that, we're seriously thinking about putting a forum together on the site, and that way people instead of using Facebook or other social media apps, they can just talk on a forum instead. And so we're seriously thinking about putting that together probably in September. And then the workshop is, we run the workshop every year in August. And for the last 2 years, Sergio, who is amazing, and I got to shout out his girlfriend Diana, who comes over, who I absolutely love and is an amazing flute player and Baroque musician and early Renaissance person. She's just very intelligent and smart and fun. But this year we're having Steve Tyler.
Oh,
So
great.
that's going to be amazing.
Really,
And I
really
think,
cool.
yeah, right now he's touring with the PlayStation concert thing, which is amazing. But, and talk about trumpet technique. Holy bananas. That's going to be great. So yeah, he's going to be the main teacher at the workshop this year at Gurdy World. And so yeah, it's been going great. And then when we were on the BBC thing, that like you could see the traffic just went like that on the site. It was just like millions. It was like at least my server didn't go down. That was score one for
That's
that.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I was prepared because I was like, I knew when it was gonna air, so I was like, okay, I gotta make sure this is all kosher, and it was. So it was good.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And
But I
Quentin,
think, yeah. Sorry, go ahead, hon.
oh, it's okay. You're asking about Gurdy World, and Noel was talking about this a bit, but one of my favorite parts of Gurdy World is that it is continuously updated. I felt like a lot of the sites that have hurdy-gurdy information online, you can tell that they were built in 2007 and haven't been changed since, which is great, but we really wanted to compile everything. And one of the things that's happened is we get musicians and luthiers and players of the hurdy-gurdy from all over the world emailing us every week with suggestions, ideas, corrections, additions, subtractions. There's this influx of information to Noel and I, which then we disperse out through the website. It's always changing and always staying up to date. And that always makes me really excited about making Gurdy World and having it out there. It's just the influx of information and then the outflow through one single source.
Yeah,
Oh,
except for we have to update it.
that's brilliant. I mean, I must get an inquiry every week. That's someone who said, "Oh, I saw you on Gurdy World."
Oh, wow.
At least one a week,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
asking about where to get an instrument or are you teaching and stuff like that. So it's really excellent.
Glad
It's
to hear.
weird too because you wouldn't think like with this instrument that there would be so much traffic, but there is. So
But there is, yeah,
yeah,
which is great, isn't it? I mean, it's
yeah, it
really
is.
wonderful.
It is great. So, Quentin, thank you so much for being here today. This was great. We'll have all the information about the book and your teaching and your albums and everything in the world. He's holding again. Make it fly. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. In the description below. And it was great. talking to you. So we wish you luck.
Thank you
Thanks
so
so
much
much.
for having me.
You're welcome.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.